Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. I'm so happy to be with you today. Hope you've had a good week and that you're ready to be inspired. That's what we do here on Dreamleapers. We bring guests to you to share their stories of triumph, of challenge, of figuring out how to live the best life possible so that you will be inspired to do the very same for yourself. So let me tell you about our guest today. She is the founder of an intergenerational wellness platform called Hey Auntie. She is Nicole Kenney, and she founded Hey Auntie in 2021 with the mission of fostering an environment where Black women from various walks of life, regardless of age, can interact and support one another. So she's here to tell us more about her story and what inspired her to start her company. Please join me in welcoming Nicole Kenney.
Hi, Harriet.
So great to be with you. And, I have to start by saying connections are everything. And the reason that we are here together right now is because of Marcy Albaher, who is from CoGenerate, which is a wonderful organization that I had the good fortune of being a fellow in 2020.
Okay.
And now am a senior fellow and have been connected very closely with CoGenerate for these 3 years. And what
Awesome.
CoGenerate does is to bring people across generations together so that we can learn and grow and excite each other with ideas and possibilities and really honor the value of learning and growing across generations. So you are part of it now. You're in the Innovation Fellows program. Is that right?
Right. Yep.
So how does that program work?
The Innovation Fellow
Yeah.
Program.
Mhm.
Yep. So it is a maybe 8 to 9 month cohort. And you are in this cohort with other fellows represented across the country who also have similar ventures, but very much aligned around the mission. So the venture might look different, but they're all deeply committed to these intergenerational connections and supporting each other. And so every month we have a different programming to better support us and moving forward in that venture, but also too, to your earlier point, building that connection and community, because a lot of times doing the work can feel isolating, but it's also necessary that you're in community, right? And so having the opportunity to work in community kind of reminds you that you're not alone and you're part of a larger mission.
Which is so important, especially when you're starting something, to
Mm-hmm.
be in the company of people who are supportive, but
Yeah.
also they're growing their own thing.
Mhm.
That's important. It really does help
Right.
you to not feel isolated. And because of the pandemic, people literally were
That's
isolated
right.
so
That's
much. So
right.
it's
Yeah.
wonderful. So
Yep.
you created something called Hey Auntie, and I just love that it's called that. But can you
Mhm.
tell us what Hey Auntie is and what your mission is?
Sure. So, Hey Auntie, we are a digital wellness platform and a community, and we connect Black women across ages and life stages to learn the rules, gain the tools, and deepen the networks to thrive at home, work, and everywhere in between. And our mission is really to help facilitate connections with Black women to really accelerate them in achieving their full potential. What I know from my own lived experience is that Black women, we are communal people. We thrive in community. We hold a lot of resources, but oftentimes might not have the networks to really exchange those resources. And so, what we aim to do at Hey Auntie is to really help facilitate that and kind of eliminate that barrier or that friction when it comes to maybe time or not knowing who to talk to or what to talk to them about to really help them kind of fulfill the dreams that they have for themselves.
And how do you do that? I know that this is a new project,
Mhm.
but you've gotten a lot of support. You've gotten financial support as well as, being in this cohort, which is helping you to learn. How what are the ways in which you either now
Mhm.
facilitate this engagement or that are on the radar for what you intend to do to facilitate the engagement?
So those are great questions. And so what we're focusing on right now, we won a competition in 2021 called the Challenge. And it was a social impact competition in Philadelphia, and they were looking for solutions to improve millennial health. And it was interesting because I knew one of the key reasons my health was being improved was being in community with aunties. And so my background being in policy and in programs and then learning technology really wanted to use all of these things to kind of really optimize this experience. And so what we do so far for folks, as we're still new, but what folks can begin to engage with, is we have something called Leela Corners. Leela is my great auntie. I come from a community of aunties, and it is an opportunity for women to be in a group with maybe 5 other women. 3 are over 50, 3 are under 50. And it's just an opportunity to learn about each other and how each other might engage with one single question. And I got this idea from the work that I did last year with members of the Hey Auntie community. And I would often hear, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I realized there wasn't a safe space to really better understand. So one of the ways we do that is through the Leela's Corners. It's about 2 to 3 meetings with the same women, typically over a month, to better just get to know folks who might be in your neighborhood, but also across the country. Something else that we're working on launching later this month, and we're going to be piloting with a small group, is one-to-one connections with aunties. So we're going to be working with women who might be more advanced in different seasons of life. It could be parenting, it could be entrepreneurship, it could be life transitions. And these are all women who want to use their lived experiences, pitfalls, to really encourage the women behind them. And so we're going to start training these groups of women to begin piloting this one-to-one connection where people might be able to have even more deeper relationships and conversations with aunties around specific, life challenges.
How do you identify the women
Mhm.
who are part of the Hey Auntie program? And you said you train them. What do the trainings look like?
So that's actually what we're working on piloting out right now, right? But to your first question, these women opt in. What's really exciting is what I've learned is that especially life can be hard. And for women and Black women especially, they do not want other women to have the same struggles and challenges if they don't have to. And so typically these women say, I want to be an auntie. I want to be able to pass down this information. So that's how we identify them. But we are working on a system to kind of better screen, making sure that it's the right fit, and then developing this training program, which is why it's taking time, because this isn't something that we want to rush into. We want to take everyone, we want to treat everyone with and make sure that everyone feels supported to really be able to fulfill this role. So anyone can say they're interested, but there will be a process you have to go through before you actually kind of assume that responsibility in that role.
And I'm assuming it's like peers across generations rather than professionals. Like this is not therapy. This is not, you're not, I'm assuming this is not that people have to have certain kinds of degrees and experience in that way. Is it more people who are willing, and then there's a framework that you create that they can work through?
That's absolutely right. And I'm glad you mentioned therapy because I believe strongly in therapy, right? But I do believe in those folks being licensed clinicians,
Yes.
and also being clear about where Hey Auntie can be support, and then where we can refer you to the right people. And so the women who come through the Hey Auntie program may not always be licensed clinicians, although we are talking to those folks as well. But to your point, yes, it's more peer support, but still realizing there has to be a framework and a training before we would ask you to do any sort of, advice giving or anything like that.
And is this, I know you're in the infancy stages, but is this designed to be something that people can access for free, or is it a subscription service?
Mm-hmm.
How do you envision it?
Absolutely. It would be a paid service. Now, there will be parts of it that might be like a freemium because we do understand people need to kind of experience what this is to see if this is something that works for them. But the vision is for it to be a subscription-based model. And if I can go even bigger, I see this as an enterprise model. I see this something in the workplaces. My background as a social entrepreneur, I work with companies. So especially when you mentioned like 2020 and 21 with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, I saw Black women not being supported in the workspace. And so I see this as something that Black women can access at work. Healthcare systems, I'm talking to doctors and I don't understand what you're saying. I see it there. Insurance companies. So starting, subscription based, but the scalability, the sky literally is the limit in terms of where I see this going.
I'm glad I asked you, because then actually you would be ultimately looking for therapists and medical doctors and
Absolutely.
lawyers and other professionals who not only are they aunties, but they have expertise. And would that be cross generationally that the younger people potentially can be experts in those fields as well?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Unequivocally, yes. So one of the things that I've learned, one of the first things that I hear from aunties is I need an auntie, right? And so there is this assumption that if you reach a certain age that you know it all, you don't have support. I hear so often from women over 50 how important community is. Many of them are retiring, they're new business owners, they're taking care of parents. So there's a lot of things where they might also need to be connected with someone older, but especially younger when it comes to entrepreneurship. What is branding? You know, how do I work Instagram? And so there's two ways we actually spell auntie, AUNTIE and
Yes.
AUNTEE. So depending on what the question is, you might very well find a woman in her 25 who's 25 being in the big T. That's what we call it. And a woman being in her 70s being the little T. And what I can tell you from the women who join Hey Auntie, that's what they want. They don't want a top down experience. They don't want to feel like they have all the answers. These are women who want to learn, right? And so that's what we're really facilitating with Hey Auntie is recognizing, depending on the season, depending on the question, that expert and who is the expert can change. And I think that's been my lived experience as well.
So essentially, this is a type of mentoring. Is that right?
Mentoring reimagined. And the reason why I say mentoring is because when I think of my life with aunties, I do life with these women, you
Mm,
know, and I think sometimes mentoring, there's this idea of I have to come with questions or I'm
mm,
learning just by doing life. I teach at my local YMCA. So I always tell people I'm teaching women strength training and they're teaching me how to navigate a conflict. So it's not
right.
it's not this formal thing where I have to come to you and ask a question, but it might be, you know, we're just in the same space. And because we're in the same space, this information is being transferred. So I like to say mentoring reimagined because that's just my lived experience. This is doing life journeys together.
I hear you. Hey guys, you are listening to Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. We're talking right now to Nicole Kenney, who has created this really fascinating platform that she sees becoming an enterprise platform, which I love the vision that she holds for it now, called Hey Auntie, where women, Black women, cross generationally are at the ready to support other Black women as they are living their lives and just it sounds like, you know, connecting to their potential, which I think is a really beautiful idea when very often, you know, the ERGs at companies may not offer all of the things that you need, or
Mhm,
you may not be able to attend
mhm,
when those meetings occur. So
mhm,
this is it's a creative idea that sounds like you've gotten a lot of traction. Let me
mhm.
just remind folks before we go back to Nicole, this is WBAI. We are listener sponsored radio, which means everybody who's listening, we need you to make a donation because we don't have any ads. It's all about us engaging together. And so you can call and make a donation right now. You can call 212-209-2950. And you can also go online and give to WBAI.org. Any amount is great. You give, I think, $25, you get a present. And there are all kinds of goodies on uh, the website. If you go to give to WBAI.org and just look around, you make a donation, you'll get one of those goodies. So we just appreciate you and want you to know that we need your support. So please go to give to WBAI.org or call 212-209-2950 and make a donation today. All right, Nicole.
Mhm.
Hey, Auntie, I want to know a bit of your backstory because you have a very dynamic education, and education at school and also in life.
Mm.
Uh, what got you to where you are today?
I'm being mindful of the time. Yeah. So I'm going to think where to start. But, you know, for me, I really just have to start really kind of at the beginning. I am the daughter of four girls, and so I've always just had great relationships with sisters and like having different friends and things like that. But what was really challenging for me in my childhood was my parents. We had relocated to New Jersey, and that community that I had, because I grew up in West Philly, I lost, and I was one of the only Black girls in this new neighborhood. And it was a really difficult time. You're talking about between the ages of, sixth grade to about 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade. And I share that because just in context of where I am now, I tell people, by time I left New Jersey and we relocated back to Philadelphia, I went from this vibrant, Black girl with all these ideas to really a shell of myself. Feeling like you're the only, feeling like, you're not being seen, heard, not being affirmed. And so when I came back to Philadelphia, what was really the turning point was really one big thing. I would say two big things. First, really growing up, in the church, and, the value of community and learning about God and who he says I am. But also, too, went to an all-girls high school.
Mm.
And it was the first time that I really experienced the power of women, or at that time, teenage girls supporting, other women. And so you accelerate that a little bit, when I go off to college. And that's an interesting story too. But I graduate from college and I start in, my professional life. And I was stressed out. But the interesting thing was, I didn't know that stress could make you sick. I was very accustomed to being high performing, very accustomed to doing it all. And I thought that was normal. But what I began to really realize is that over time, my body, started to break down. And so when you look at me now in my early 30s, and now I've always been deeply passionate about improving, social and economic outcomes of marginalized communities, but especially Black women. But at the same time, in my 30s, early 30s, I'm sick, and I'm trying to take care of everyone. I can't take care of myself, but I didn't know why, because I thought I was healthy. I ate pretty well. I had good friends, a good family. And I'll never forget, it was when my doctor told me it could be stress. And I had never heard anyone getting sick from stress. And she was a fantastic Black doctor, but I just didn't believe her. I thought I was different. And so because I couldn't handle everything, I was really ashamed. And so I isolated. And that is when, I always mention my family doing this intervention, especially my auntie. And my auntie, she has been in women's health and public health all of her career. And so that's when she notices what she calls the signs and symptoms, and she began to tell stories that really validated my experience. And that's when I began to ask for help. So, over the past 7 years, I came back to Philly and really focused on just being a social entrepreneur, but really just focusing on Black women and Black girls. And I've done various different things around that, but always thinking about how can I better support and improve their health and well-being. And so the one thing I should mention, because it's really the precursor to Hey Auntie, when I came home, one of the first things I did is I started talking to women who are older than me. So my auntie, my mom, other Black women, and I began to hear how similar these stories are, because a lot of times in different generations, you think, you don't know, this is different, you can't understand. And so I'm hearing these themes, and I captured these stories because I was taking a community documentary class, and just for myself. But then I showed it to one person, and then I started getting invitations to screen it and to show it to more people. That's how I became an entrepreneur. People paid me to show my doc. And that was 7 years ago. And I have just been following this passion ever since. And it's just gone through different iterations. And so with Hey Auntie, it literally kind of it all came together with this Well City Challenge, because now I'm a social entrepreneur. Now I'm working with companies supporting, and I'm seeing the challenges firsthand from a different side, because
Right.
my background's in policy. So I'm looking at systems that do not work. I'm spending all of my time trying to convince people to support us, and I'm just like, you know what, Nicole, this competition's open. They're looking for new ideas. I'm gonna build something. I'm gonna build something.
Good for you.
And it was this social impact competition. I was the grand prize winner. I won 50K, really 60K in investments. And
Wow.
that was really when I put the foot on the gas. So it's been a long journey The vision has stayed the same. With, that has never changed, even as you look at me from a child. But in terms of dreaming and envisioning bigger and bigger, it just seems like different iterations, just the more and more I kind of lean into this dream. So that's what got me here today.
I love hearing about dreams. This is called Dreamleapers. I'm all about dreams.
Yeah.
And I also truly believe many of us have dreams when we're children
Mm-hmm.
that when we pay attention to them, we
Mm-hmm.
manifest throughout our lives. And
Mm-hmm.
the moment will come and it's time for that to activate, whatever
That's
that
right.
thing is.
That's right.
You said so many things that I think are important to unpack, but one of them that I appreciate so much and I think is true about your generation more than previous generations, particularly of Black people and women,
Mm-hmm.
is the no shame about therapy. You
Mm-hmm.
need help, that you will get help. It used to be, and we're talking, your project is about Black women, but it's not just us.
Mm-hmm.
Many people generationally, my generation and before, felt a certain amount of shame
Yeah.
in admitting, "I have a problem. I
Mm-hmm.
can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
This it's not going away." And today, a lot of people are saying, "Wait a minute. I don't think that I should know how to do everything.
That's right.
I trust that it's good to get help." And
Mm-hmm.
what this project that you're creating now, I love the type of help, going back to the way the Black community works
Mm-hmm.
and has over generations. There's always an auntie. There's,
Mhm.
like, your mama is not supposed to have to do everything,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
This is not, and the auntie doesn't have to be related to you. It's just
That's right.
somebody you love and respect, and that has your back. So
Mhm.
as you build this and you've got this enterprise idea, and
Yeah.
we just have a couple of minutes left, but I want you to
Sure.
share, how can you what are you going to do to work to make sure that as the auntie group grows,
Mhm.
that that core level of intimacy and
Mm.
trust remains?
I love that question. And it is actually safety and trust is the cornerstone of Hey Auntie, because that's the cornerstone of Auntie, right? And so
Yes,
even as we're building, that's why we're being so deliberate and thoughtful. Like everyone's just like, so it's not about all these folks joining at one time. It's constantly as we're building, I'm constantly checking in with the aunties and even people who are currently engaged with Hey Auntie. Did you feel safe? Did you? That is a question, because that is the question that Black women, for all Black women, am I going to be safe here? Am I going to be protected here? And so that means we're going to take a different rhythm as we build. And I remember speaking to a mentor of mine, I am more concerned with the health and well-being of Black women than anything else. So if that means I have to change things, if that means I have to add things, if that means I have to delete things, then so be it. Because
right.
that's what's most important to us. So that is the forefront. That is
Mhm.
always the thing that I'm constantly thinking about, as we build, which is why I tell folks and ask folks to give us grace, because it's not something that we're just going to rush and put out, because Black women deserve better.
And is the platform up? Can people go look at it now?
So people can, the actual app is not up yet, but people can join. Currently, the community, we're already launching different community building features. So Black women can already begin to get to meet other Black women. They
Right.
will get newsletters that we send out. We're already doing pop-ups. And the reason why I love doing it this way is that we're building with these women. So we're asking them, what do you think about this? And they have been very, very helpful. So I invite you. It's pretty exciting to be at the new early stage, because we're
Sure.
we're always listening, but you really do have a real role in how Hey Auntie is formed.
And
Um,
how do you see it?
it's at www.heyauntie.io.
And is that TIE, auntie,
Oh, yeah.
TIE?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking. HEYAUNTIE.io.
.io. All right. Well, we're gonna check it out.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Nicole Kenney.
Thank
We're
you.
excited. You've got a lot of energy, and I'm feeling it. I hope everybody who is in earshot is feeling it too. And we look forward to seeing all that you do with Hey Auntie.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having me.
And thank you to all of you for listening, for being a part of this great conversation. You know what? Hey Auntie, I have had a number of aunties that I remember, the ones who passed on were so important in my life. And I'm looking forward to meeting some new ones who can help guide my journey. I hope you are too. So, everybody, have a great week. Enjoy every moment. And until next time, have a great day and make it count.